He was there. At the altar, covered by a white veil, surrounded by the silence of candles and the emotional gaze of those who believe without seeing. And even so, many still do not understand. Many walk through the celebration of Corpus Christi as if it were just another beautiful procession, a holiday with colorful carpets, a traditional Catholic custom. But I ask you with an open heart, do you really know what's behind Corpus Christi? Do you understand the depth of what the Church celebrates on this day? What does it mean when you see the priest walking through the streets with the consecrated host in his hands, in silence, under the June sky, surrounded by flowers and hymns? In this video, I want to guide you through this mystery. I want you to approach me not just with your eyes, but with your heart, because Corpus Christi is more than a symbol. It is more than a tradition. It is heaven itself descending to earth. Everything began over 700 years ago in a small city in Belgium called Liège. There, a nun named Juliana of Cornillon had visions of a bright moon with a dark stain. Jesus, in spirit, explained to the young consecrated woman that the stain was the absence of a special feast dedicated to the most holy sacrament of the Eucharist. Yes, I myself asked for this day to exist, because many no longer believed that I was truly present in the consecrated bread. Many saw it only as a symbol, a remembrance, a ceremony, but that's not it. I am there. With all my body, with all my blood, with all my soul, with all my divinity. It is not a metaphor, it is not a representation, it is real. The celebration of Corpus Christi is heaven's response to the heart of modern man who doubts. It is as if God, in his infinite mercy, says, I am here, still here. I have not abandoned you. Shortly after Juliana's visions, in 1263, a German priest named Peter of Prague was celebrating Mass in Bolsena, Italy. This priest also had doubts. He was good, devout, but his heart was restless. He couldn't fully believe in the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. That day, as he elevated the consecrated host during Holy Mass, the miracle happened. The host began to bleed in his hands. The altar was stained with drops of blood, and the priest fell to his knees, weeping. It wasn't a vision, it wasn't a symbol. It was the living proof of what has always been true. Pope Urban IV, upon hearing of the event and the reports of Juliana's visions, instituted in 1264 the solemnity of Corpus Christi for the entire Church. But why does this still need to be remembered today? Why does this feast remain so important in the 21st century? Because even today there are hearts that doubt. Even today there are multitudes who receive communion without understanding what they are receiving. There are still people who walk past the tabernacle without even realizing who is inside. I am there, in that little host, in the monstrance, in the chalice. I came down from heaven to remain with you. If the world knew what happens on the altar during a Mass, churches would have no space. Not on Sundays, not on quiet Mondays. Because the greatest miracle in the world happens every day, before our eyes. And that is why Corpus Christi must be celebrated with reverence, with love, with faith. Each carpet laid in the streets, each flower placed before the procession, each step of the priest with the Blessed Sacrament in his hands. All of it is as if the people were saying, Jesus, we believe and we adore you. But do you also believe? Does your soul recognize the living presence of Christ in the Eucharist? Do not be afraid to answer. In this video, we will walk together, from the mystery of the Eucharist to the profound act of love from a God who wanted to become food, not out of tradition, but out of salvation. And you, are you ready to look at the host and recognize that I am there? Are you ready to allow the truth of my body and blood to awaken your sleeping faith? Because I tell you with love and firmness, the Eucharist is not a beautiful ritual, it is an act of eternal love. Maybe you've heard that the Mass is a repetition of Christ's sacrifice on the cross. But few truly understand this with their hearts. Few realize that every time the priest lifts the host and the chalice, Calvary becomes present again, not as a memory, but as a reality. Time bows before the mystery of faith. That same Jesus who was lifted up on the cross is there before our eyes, hidden under the appearance of bread and wine. Can you imagine that? All of heaven bends to adore the one who gives himself out of love. And in the noise of the world, the church falls silent to contemplate. Corpus Christi is the moment when this mystery leaves the temple and walks among the people. It is Jesus being carried in procession, passing through streets, houses, schools, hospitals. It is God himself touching the city. It is the sacred visiting the ordinary. And that's why the carpets are made with such care. Each flower, each detail on the ground is a gesture of adoration, as if we're saying, "Here, Lord, this path is yours. You may pass." And he passes, silently, solemnly. Just as he walked through Capernaum, Jerusalem, Bethany, and today he walks where you live too. Yes, he walks. But are you paying attention? Do you recognize him? Do you remember the disciples on the road to Amaze? They walked with Jesus for miles and only recognized him when he broke the bread. It was in that gesture in the Eucharist that their eyes were opened. Maybe today is the day your eyes will open too, to see that you've never been alone, to understand that the loneliness you often feel is not God's absence, but a lack of seeing with faith where he truly is. And he is. In the Mass you may have neglected, in the tabernacle you pass by in a rush, in the host you sometimes receive without even thinking, yet still, I am there, waiting for you, longing to enter your story more deeply, because it's not just about a distant God who reigns in heaven. It's about a God who chose to stay near until the end of time, and he chose the simplest, most silent form, the Eucharist. This is the mystery of faith, something that can't be fully explained but can be lived, something that isn't grasped by the mind but embraced by the heart. Corpus Christi is the Church's silent cry to the world. He is alive. He is with us. He walks in our streets. He steps on our roads. But what will you do with this truth? Will you just watch from a distance, like someone watching a parade? Or will you kneel and adore? Because those who adore transform everything. Those who adore begin to see the world with heaven's eyes. And that changes the heart. It changes relationships. It changes how you deal with pain, with time, with others. The real presence of Christ has the power to heal deep wounds, to restore broken faith, to give meaning back to what seemed lost. That's why today here in this video, I invite you, not just to understand, but to surrender. Surrender to the beauty of my body given for you. Surrender to the love hidden in the bread. Surrender to the living presence that comes down from heaven and rests on the altar. And if this touched you, if you felt something in your heart, then write in the comments now, "Jesus, I believe in your real presence." Say it publicly, without shame, not for me, but for you, so that your faith may grow stronger, so that your soul may recognize that even in silence, I never stopped acting. And I'm here. I always have been. Oh, and before we continue, I ask something special. Subscribe to the Sacred Stories Biblic channel. It's not just a click, it's a gesture of faith, of commitment to the Word, to the truth, to what touches your soul. And if this video is speaking to you, share it with someone who needs to be reminded that Jesus is present, real, alive, and waiting for a gesture of love. If you've ever taken part in a Corpus Christi procession, maybe you felt something different in the air, a mixture of silence and music, of reverence and celebration, of faith and mystery. It's not just a beautiful event, it's a public act of worship. It's the Church declaring to the world, He is here, and we walk with Him. Every step of the priest carrying the monstrance is not just symbolic, it's prophetic. It's as if Jesus were visiting the hearts of homes, the hidden alleys of the city, the hospitals, the schools, the places where pain is great and hope is small. He walks where you walk. He steps where your feet step. And there, in every corner, He sows His presence. But there's something even deeper. Have you realized that God chose to hide Himself? Yes. In the Eucharist, the Creator of the universe hides beneath the fragile form of a piece of bread. And why? Because true love doesn't shout. It whispers. It gives itself. It lets itself be found by those who seek with sincerity. Corpus Christi is the day this mystery is carried through the streets like a lit candle in the dark. And that light touches hearts. It heals, it saves, it transforms. That's why so many miracles are connected to the Eucharist. Yes, physical healings, but above all, healings of the soul. People who had been far from faith and returned after a procession. Hardened hearts that surrendered before the host. Families that reconciled. Young people who found meaning for their lives. Religious men and women who discovered their vocation at the altar. All because I was there. And I still am. I don't reveal myself only in great miracles. I reveal myself in the silence of one who kneels, in the gaze of one who contemplates, in the tear that falls during consecration. And when you receive communion, something divine happens. You become a living tabernacle. You carry my presence to the world. You become a bridge between heaven and earth. Corpus Christi doesn't end when the procession does. It continues in every heart that brings the Eucharist into daily life, in care for others, in forgiveness, in charity, in patience, in loving presence. Are you willing to be that sign? Do you want to carry my presence forward? Then don't wait for an external miracle. The miracle has already happened. The Eucharist is the miracle, and I want to dwell in you. But for that, your heart must be clean. Your interior must be open. Your eyes must long to see me. And if today you felt that calling, if something burns within you, then I say to you, come back to me. Return to the altar. Return to adoration. Return to Mass with an awakened heart. And if you already live this, go deeper still. Don't grow numb to the sacred. Don't treat with haste what is eternal. I am waiting for you. In the next procession, at the next altar, in the next silent minute before the tabernacle. And even if the world doubts, even if they mock, even if they forget, I remain there. In the bread, in the wine, in the Eucharist. And every time someone kneels and says with faith, my Lord and my God, heaven opens and my heart rejoices. So go, celebrate Corpus Christi with a soul on fire, and never again look at the host as something ordinary. There is your God, there I am. There is the love that conquered death. If this message spoke to you, share it. Send it to someone who needs to remember that Jesus is present, real, and waiting for just one open heart. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now is the time. Click in faith, not just for content, but for communion, for truth, for love. This channel exists for that, to remind you that heaven walks among us.